you think my forehead is okay?
Shiny.
I'm done with the. Yeah, is it too bright?
Is it beautiful? Yes, it's beautiful. Your cup, not so much.
Okay, I'm double fisting.
Yeah, why don't you just stick with that one? Throw that Jake you in the trash.
But you know why?
Oh, that's one we're gonna break later on purpose, right?
We are not breaking my expedition Bigfoot mug.
Chip.
Yeah, well, you know why? It's because my kids do the dishes and they
Yeah.
they just throw them at the
Yeah,
dishwasher
exactly.
because that works.
Just aggravate the shit out of you. That's why mine only gets hand washed and it doesn't go anywhere near the dishwasher.
Okay. After this happened, after they broke the handle off and chipped it in 14 different places, I started hiding my coffee mugs.
Did the handle break into multiple pieces?
I don't know. It just showed up like this.
Oh, so you have no idea where.
So I think it's probably buried in the backyard somewhere.
Because like in all seriousness, you could have, if it was one piece, super glued that on, it would hold really well. Because it happened to mine, and for years it's been super glued on. I keep waiting for it to just like crash down on me one day, but it's good.
I didn't know super glue would hold with ceramic.
I didn't think it would either. But it's Gorilla super glue.
Gorilla super glue.
Ironically, this week's episode brought to you by Gorilla.
Ooh, okay. My timer just got done.
For
on my watch, my watchable for the coffee, but I'm afraid it hasn't been steeping long enough. And I know
20 minutes isn't long enough.
it hasn't. It might have been 20 minutes.
No, it's probably not been.
But you do yours for like 3.
3.5 minutes.
That doesn't make any sense. You probably can't even taste the coffee. You're just drinking hot water. Dirty hot water.
Dirty hot. Yep, that's pretty much it. No, it's plenty, dude. It's plenty.
Okay, if you want to, I'll switch from my Star Wars mug to...
No, don't switch to your Star Wars mug. I want you to use your Star Wars mug.
But it's full of cold coffee now.
Well, warm it up with some hot coffee.
Yeah.
That's what a real man would do.
Like Flo would come by and warm it up.
I mean, seriously, think about it. If you're you're at a fucking restaurant or diner, they're gonna come by and, pop it off.
Okay.
Don't be a
I'll try it.
pussy.
Don't say the C word.
No, just the P word. We say the P word, right?
I don't know what we can say, honestly. I mean, okay. Actually, Brian, say whatever you want because we don't even have an account yet to upload these videos.
So this is all for our personal entertainment.
So far, they're just living on my hard drive.
Yeah, so we can say what we want, actually.
Hey, should we have a quick word from our sponsors?
Yes.
Hang on, I got new notes from our sponsors. I just emailed it to my phone. First sponsor, former president Jimmy Carter.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I mean, President Carter, excuse me.
Hi, I'm former President Carter, and I'm from Georgia. And I know those boys are from Georgia, and I just love their show. Is that pretty good?
Yeah, thank you, former President Carter. I mean, thank you, former President Carter.
Did he pass?
Think so.
I
I feel like he's dead.
Well, now I feel really bad.
We may need to Google that because now I'm curious.
All right, hang on.
Find out.
There's a way to do this. Okay, I just did it on my phone because if I reach over, I'm going to bump my microphone. Hang on. Is Jimmy... Oh, okay. This is searched enough to where it auto-populates in Google. Is Jimmy Carter still alive?
What does it say? Survey says...
Well... Oh, okay, this is so sad. Okay. The New York Times, Jimmy Carter's long goodbye. I think he's in hospice. Oh, man, why did I should fact check our sponsors before we go live.
Jeez.
Now I feel really bad.
Well, it's the New York Times, so wait, is that a good one or is that a bad one? I can't remember.
Hang on.
It may be total bullshit.
How do you define good or bad, Brian? We should maybe unpack this.
I can't remember. Is that one of the non-truth telling organizations? I feel like one of the New York something or others is legit.
Okay, hang on. Well, you know what? We're gonna just blow past that one.
We'll move on to our next sponsor.
And our next sponsor is Bojangles. That's where you're supposed to start singing Mr. Bojangles.
Love that chicken at Popeyes.
Ooh, that's not the right song.
Ooh, sorry, Bojangles. I prefer Popeyes.
Well, they already sent us the check, so...
So, hey, cha-ching!
And our last sponsor of the day, Donuts.
Just donuts. Did they at least send us some fucking samples? Donuts. I had a good one in my mind and I forgot. Donuts.
And our last sponsor of the day, My Shiny Forehead.
Your shiny forehead. I love it.
Okay, Brian, I had some cool ideas for an episode, and then you had a cool idea for an episode, and so I think we just compromised and did what you wanted to do. So,
because that's what you always say. So,
do you want to introduce the episode?
taking it to heart. I'm still waiting on my coffee.
Oh, actually, let's do that. Okay, bring it over. All right, so what Brian has in his hand is a French press. He's plunging. He's plunging the French press. It popped. Oh, hang on. Now, do you see the diamond indicator? I
Yes.
spin it away from the pouring spout on purpose to trap as much heat in as possible.
Yes, very
Okay,
smart.
so align the diamond,
Very smart.
and he is now pouring.
And hey, like in all seriousness,
I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's possible that the microphones are muted anyways. And we'll be doing this all over again.
I don't know why it always pops at the end.
I think it's
So fucking weird.
I think it's supposed to.
I guess it's supposed
Okay,
to.
so Brian's making me pour fresh, beautiful hot coffee into my old, stale, cold coffee. So
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers. But hey, seriously, to our maybe one listener out there,
Mom.
eventually mom,
Brian's mom. Sorry about all the jokes.
My mom. No, but seriously, like this, if you've never tried your coffee out of a French press, it is the way to go.
Oh, it is 100%. We were introduced to the French press by
Octane,
oh, that's our fifth sponsor,
our fifth sponsor.
Octane.
Octane. What was the rest of their?
If we were still in business, we would totally give these guys money to
That's
talk
right.
about our business.
And what's crazy, like for real, is their coffee was the best coffee to this day I've ever had. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like what happened?
Okay, so hang on. Let's go back in time a little bit. Octane. I mean, maybe they're still in business. I don't know.
No, I looked them up on Google.
They're gone.
They don't come up anymore. And I found an article saying they went out of business whenever it was. I can't remember.
God.
So yeah, they're
So
they're
first
on,
Jimmy Carter kicks the bucket, and then now you tell me Octane's gone.
you know.
Okay. Well, Octane, back in the day, we would sneak out of our assigned area
In the morning,
after
after roll call.
and go up to this little coffee shop up in kind of the
it was
edge of Buckhead.
It was a coffee bar, it was called. That
yeah.
was the name, the Octane Coffee Bar.
Yeah, and they only did. Was it only French press, or was that an option?
No, that was how they made their regular coffees.
And so they had just French presses galore.
But
And
they also literally served alcohol because they were a coffee bar.
really,
Yeah, they really did.
Oh.
They served alcoholic beverages. 'Cause I remember even one time we went in there and I saw somebody like because they literally had like a bar, in the place, and you could sit down at like a regular coffee shop. But I remember seeing a dude in there drinking something alcoholic, and I remember whoever we were with, I had said something like, "Man, how the fuck can you drink alcohol this early?" Because it was like 7:30 in the morning or something, 8 o'clock in the morning.
dude, I only drink at 7 a.m.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're an alcoholic, like, go hard, right? Or not at all.
If you can't run with the big dogs, go piss with the puppies.
Yeah,
I believe is the saying.
Yes, but no, but it was amazing coffee, and I remember going in there thinking like, man, I want to try this, and I didn't initially try it, and then I got on this kick where I was trying to avoid, running my hot water and stuff through plastics,
Oh
And so I
yeah.
thought, well, shit, a French press might be good. And it took me a while to find one that didn't have any plastics in it at all, but I was able to eventually find one. Shit, I found more sense because I think I'm on my third one technically.
Yeah.
These are easy to break, but they're cheap and they're simple. And I've had people ask me, like, well, aren't they a pain in the ass? But honest to God, they're no more work than a coffee pot.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. Look, I'm all about the French press, but
What's more difficult? I mean, you pour water into a coffee pot.
yeah,
You have to add a filter. You don't add a filter to this. You have to grind your coffee, put your coffee in it. So you do that. You have to rinse out your coffee pot. How is it more work?
I feel like you're getting a little combative.
It's not. I'm just saying, like, how is it more work?
Jesus, Brian, I'm sorry. It's fine. It's good. I love French press. Okay, I think you're right. The difference is it's more work in the morning. Like if you had a coffee machine or a coffee pot,
Yeah,
you could
prep
load it at night,
Yeah,
wake up, stagger to the kitchen, and hit the button.
it's true.
And you can't do that. But now, granted, you can clean your French press in like at night, get it all ready.
Yeah, you can.
I
prep
suppose you could grind your coffee and just leave it in the
it.
grinder.
Absolutely, you could. Because what's the difference between where you put it in the French press? Because what's the difference between that and putting it in a filter in a coffee pot?
Yeah,
You
but
could
if you had a little bit of water in the bottom of your French press from when you cleaned it, and then you put your coffee grounds in there, and it sat all night with a little bit of water, would that be a good thing?
Have some
Or a bad
super
thing.
strong coffee.
I like that.
No, it would be fine. It's funny you say that because when I get up in the mornings, I put Tara's together so it'll be ready for her when she gets up. And I rinse so when I come home from work, I have my coffee, and that's the last of the coffee for the day. And so I rinse the French press out and get as much water out as I can. But it's funny because before I do hers, I always open it and dump it at the sink, and just a little tiny bit comes out. So there's not really enough in there for it to make a difference.
And you put your coffee grounds in the sink, and it's okay.
It's a disposal.
Oh,
So
you're living that fancy disposal
Yeah.
life.
yeah, I don't know. I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people say that it's bad for disposal, but I've heard other people say it's good.
Well, okay, I have a story about that.
Okay.
We were on vacation a couple of years ago, and we were in this condo at the beach. I think it's a condo. It's like a big not apartment. It's like a big hotel room,
Mm-hmm.
but it was inside of a building, and so it was like stacks of other people above and below you, and down the hall and stuff. Whatever. There was no place for me to dump the grounds from my French press,
Mm-hmm.
and so I dumped them down the sink,
Okay.
and then immediately
No disposal.
I think there was a disposal, and then immediately the sink clogged, and nothing would work, and the disposal wouldn't work, and I was like, oh god, and so I had to call maintenance, but I literally was running around like someone trying to hide contraband, trying to hide the fact that I had been the asshole that poured grounds down the sink.
Yeah, but dude, I guarantee it wasn't you.
But I googled it, and it's not good, and even the maintenance guy got there, and he was kind of disgruntled, and he kind of looked at me, and he was like, do you drink coffee? Did you pour anything down the sink? And I was like, man, I didn't. I don't know. No.
That's what a disposal's for.
Why would I pour anything down the sink?
That's what it's for. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I've been in my house for 20 years, and I've been drinking coffee. Let's see. I started drinking coffee when we were APD. So we'll say probably 15 of those years I've been drinking coffee. And I'm only on...
Your seventh garbage disposal.
No,
That's not bad at
I
all.
replaced it twice. And so obviously I don't know how long the original was in there. So I replaced it twice. I'm on my second one.
No, that's not
Technically
bad.
the third one in the house, but my second one. So, and I've never had an issue. The only time I've had anything, if an issue is getting clogged in the pipe. Sometimes I've noticed like if you put a bunch of potato peels or something like that in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Potato peels aren't good for some reason. They get stuck in the pipe.
I've heard the eggshells are supposed to sharpen the blades.
Ice is good too.
To sharpen the blades?
Mhm.
Oh.
Ice cubes, yeah.
Ice. Okay, so
ice in or
hey, I
something.
had a really good segue earlier after we talked about donuts.
Oh, donuts.
But
I do love
anyways,
donuts.
I'm just gonna go out and say it right now. This episode is about
donuts
social media.
and donuts.
It's supposed to be in the form of a question.
Okay.
Do you guys like that, by the way? That was my idea. I didn't have any better ideas. And so, is social media rotting our brains? How's that?
We're asking them, right?
Is that a pretty good question?
Yes. And yes is the answer.
Yes, it is. So we're just going to go back to talking about garbage disposals
Eggshells.
and the best way to sharpen your blades.
And donuts.
And donuts. We've got some more sponsors, I think, coming up midway through the show.
There you go. Big sponsors.
Okay, so social media, this is something, we've talked about it 100 times, and I think it is absolutely destroying the fabric of our society. And what's more, I think it's by design.
I agree with all of that. Well, okay. I agree with. I do think it's by design. I don't think it was I really don't believe it was initially by design. I think it's just kind of evolved over time. Because when you think about, I'm trying to think how far back social media goes. I mean, Facebook has obviously been around for a long time, but even before Facebook, I swear MySpace was. Yeah, MySpace existed before Facebook did.
Oh yeah,
and that was. I remember it being popular. So I think it's evolved into something, and I think it's now being manipulated for nefarious purposes. But I don't think it started out that way. I don't think it started with the intent of somebody being like, okay, we're going to use this.
Didn't Facebook buy MySpace, or whatever happened to MySpace? Because it was first to market, but I mean,
yeah,
obviously nothing ever happened.
I don't know if anybody bought it or if they just.
Oh, did they kill the guy?
Didn't make it. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg probably had the CEO, the owner, whoever, probably had him assassinated.
Whacked.
Would be my guess. Yeah, they pulled a Clinton.
He got suicided?
He got suicided, yeah, I'm sure. No, I don't know. Maybe Facebook or somebody bought them. That'd be something to look up. I can't remember what happened to them.
Man, I wish we could make some kind of a company like that and then have Google come through, or some big company like, we'll give you $1 billion. And then I would be like, no, I'm not selling out, man. And then you'd probably kill me and then take the money.
I'd get $1 billion. I like it. Do it.
Well, okay, so yeah, I don't remember what happened to MySpace. And if you're the guy that invented MySpace and you're still kicking, maybe you're on the run because you're just assuming they're out to get you. Yeah. You should call the show, and we would love to chat with you.
Yes, it'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we'll even put you on a voice disguiser if we need to.
Even though everyone would know who you are. We have the anonymous guy that invented MySpace.
That invented MySpace. No one will be able to find that information. It doesn't exist anymore anyways. The thing's been scrubbed from the internet.
Oh, man.
No. Fuck, man. I'm so conflicted. I'm very conflicted, right? Because I guess you could say I have a love-hate relationship. Because it's social media is not all bad.
Yes, it is.
There are plenty of, good people, positive people that are putting out positive messages, and it's great for, especially, artists and stuff. But with that being said, there's so much negativity and hate, and like you said, the manipulation of it that's being intentionally creating division in this country, especially. And then you've got things with like the whole issue and controversy behind TikTok, and I'm very conflicted on that one as well, because on one hand I get what people are saying about the government shouldn't have the right to censor anything, or ban something like that and tell people a supposed free people that you can't use this app any longer. But on the flip side, it's like I do get it. It is Chinese owned business.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. I'm very libertarian. It makes me, we do not want to give the government any more power. They've already got too much power. And,
Yep.
and just because you like the guy in there right now, you give him that power. Well, guess what? The guy you don't like is going to be in there next, and is going to have all the power you gave the guy you liked, or the gal. And so I agree with you. However, again, like you said, the company that owns TikTok is like, Kickdance or something. ByteDance. Cool, Kickdance. Let's patent that really quick.
And let's start a competitive business.
Oh, dude, Kickdance. That's kind of how I do dance naturally, which is probably why I said that. No, I really jump dance. If we're being honest, I've actually got some footage I could put in if we ever did like a social media account. Oh, we're talking about social media.
Oh, hey.
And we're gonna try and promote the show on social media. But no, so Bike Dance is
Bite.
huh?
You saying bite? Bite. Like,
What?
that's my ASMR.
Do it again. I don't know if the mic's catching that or not.
It is what? I'm gonna chip a tooth.
We might just transition to that for the rest of the
We'll
show.
just do ASMR. There are people that like have, I don't want to say millions because I don't really know, but I know there are people that do ASMR accounts who have retarded amounts of followers on YouTube. And I'm like, what? Somebody explain that to me. I don't understand.
I've never actually seen one. I mean, I know what you're talking
I
about.
don't even know what it actually stands for. Just look it up. Look it up on Google.
Is that going to be my new guilty pleasure? If I see, I'm afraid to look these things up because then I'll
you're
make fun of it and then I'll just get hooked.
You're gonna be like, what the fuck? It blows my mind. It is one of those things where I cannot figure out. Well, okay, so
It's not your bag, baby.
I take that back. I know exactly what it is. It's usually like really hot girls that are doing it, and their video
and
too, while they're like recording it. It's not just audio, so it's like if you took their face out of the whole thing, it probably wouldn't be successful.
Oh,
It's just
so you're saying that we're not going to get millions of followers based on what you just did?
I don't know. Maybe
We'll
find out.
Let's not rule it out.
Let's not rule it out for sure.
I don't want to put any negativity into the universe. No, okay, so no, Bike Dance. It's
You saying bike?
what is it?
Bite.
Oh, it's not bike like the bike you ride.
No, like bite.
Oh, that actually makes a lot more sense.
Bite.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, so there, if it's a look, if it's a
Like what your mom does to my cock.
if it's a Chinese company, they don't have the separations like we do in our country, and so they do exactly what the CCP says. They don't have a choice. I mean, you can't even blame them for it. They like when you've got family that could be in jeopardy, like what are you supposed to do? And so I get what you mean. I don't like the idea of our government having the ability to ban something and say, no, you guys can't see this. But on the same token, you know that they're looking at us laughing, saying, look at this. Everyone even knows what we're doing and they still can't change it.
Yeah.
They love exploiting that.
Yeah, well, and there are people out there who have shown, that the algorithms are they're very different from what we get versus what their own people get. Like I've heard, that they've got positive things over there, and we've got the stuff that's creating division and hate and toxicity and all that kind of shit. But even with all that being aside, because like I said, I'm not sure how to feel about that. The fact that to me TikTok is a very different animal than, well, okay, so it's a very different animal than the other social medias, and the proof is in and of itself that you look at Instagram and who started doing the reels, and then YouTube who started doing the shorts, and it's all to try and piggyback off of what's working for TikTok.
Yeah, they're exactly.
So it's definitely the most addictive, and it's just a fucking mindless scroll that, I mean, I don't know what, like, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but I feel like it's
here we go,
a certain type of people, and it has nothing to do with politics or anything, but like, I don't know if it's just weak-minded or what, but like, I remember early on, scrolling through, and it's very entertaining for sure, but there's plenty of times where, I would have to stop myself and be like, this is a total complete waste of my time. But there are a lot of people who just sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll. It's so addictive that they can't stop doing it. And maybe there's a lot of different factors of why people do that.
Well, I'll tell you why it is. Literally, they have an AI enhanced supercomputer pointed at their head like a fucking machine gun.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is social media in the current state we see it today is our first contact with AI. I think we talked about that already on one of the episodes that is still sitting on my hard drive. And so, but literally, that's our first contact with AI, and the algorithms are obviously, I'm not educated on what even to call it, but it's so good, and like you say, it's the infinite scroll, and they especially TikTok, it times everything. it probably watches you through your camera and it reads your facial expressions and your eye movements and who knows? I mean, like, who knows what you've given permission for them to do on your phone, because nobody reads those things. And you're exactly right. I mean, it's literally made to be addictive. And here's why. Like, well, I think TikTok, because of the CCP and because of all that, there's a different element to that. But any social media in general, and this is what opened my eyes, is if someone's paying for it, right?
Yep.
So it's massively expensive. Like you think of, I mean, Facebook bought Instagram, but even before that happened, or any of the social media platforms, it's expensive.
Did they
Yeah.
buy or did they start Instagram? I can't remember.
I thought they bought it, but it's massively expensive. You have engineers and you have people running marketing and you have payroll and who knows. But I mean, someone that's expensive. They have to make money, so someone's paying for that. No one pays a monthly service for Instagram or TikTok, right? Someone's paying it, but we're not paying it. So this opened my eyes, is if you're not paying for something, that means you are the product.
Yeah.
And that's the dynamic. And that's why social media is so completely fucked up. And that's why it's doing that to our well, there's more we'll get into later, but you are the product. And so literally we're like batteries. And so the social media companies are like, if we can make it super addictive and we can start to influence behavior and even predict behavior because we're influencing that behavior, then we can make billions because we can sell that. Like, never before have advertisers had access to a captured audience.
Mm-hmm.
TV wasn't like that. Radio wasn't like that. Social media is, and that's why. Like we're the product. It's like we're in the Matrix. We're like batteries, and people don't. I don't know if they don't know that, don't understand that, don't care. But that's what opened my eyes. Is like if you're not paying, you're the product.
Yeah, I think it's what it is, man. I think people don't care. God, it's. I'm trying not to get political with this, but it goes back to the whole thing that kind of popped up a little while back about, being woke. It's like some people just, I don't know if they just choose to. Well, it's like that line in the Matrix where the dude says, "Ignorance is bliss." I don't know if it's that, or if people are just stubborn, hard-headed, and don't want to see the truth for what it is. I mean, I don't know. I guess everybody's different, and some people maybe have different reasons than others. But I guess my hope would have been, like, at this point in time, enough people would have been like, "This is a waste of my time." I mean, because it is. It's such an unproductive waste of time, as is a lot of things.
But isn't that like look? I agree, but isn't that like indicative of a bigger problem? If you have so many people that are not happy, and if they're going to something to soothe them to pass the day, then we've got bigger problems. And social media I guess the question is social media creating that? Is it a vicious cycle? And so it's making you miserable, and then you need the same thing making you miserable to comfort you in that misery, or is it something else?
Yeah, I don't think it. I mean, sure, to an extent, for some people it might be, but I don't think it's people that are going to that because they're so miserable in their lives and just want something to numb their pain or their lives. I think it's just that it's that addictive. Because I'd be willing to bet if you could talk to most people who say are addicted to something like TikTok, I bet you most of those people would say they got on the platform because they were curious. They wanted to check it out. And then it's like you're instantly hooked. You know what I mean? I don't think many people were like, "God, my life sucks. What, I need something to drown it out." And you know what I mean? I think they started as a curiosity or as a, hey, it's popular. Let's get on and try it out. You know what I mean? I really don't think that people initially start out with it thinking it's going to be this addictive thing and it's going to.
Well, but here, think about this though. Okay, we're in our mid-40s, and so we can remember before this stuff existed. Mm-hmm. We can remember when it was sort of coming around, but our kids probably don't even remember that. And so what do they know? Like they can't say that, like, well, no, I wasn't miserable first. I was just curious. They grew up with it, and so they don't know. There's no reference point before it. They just grew up with it, and so they wouldn't even know anyways. If that is the
Yeah.
case, they wouldn't know.
Yeah, God, I think it's even worse, obviously, for younger generations.
Yeah, it really
Because
is.
at least we have something. I mean, if you choose as an adult to allow that to, eat up your time, that's your choice. But at least you have. I mean, because you could look back at your life and say, you know what? Prior to all this, yeah, I was doing this, this, and this, and yeah, it was okay. I didn't really like it, or I was bored all the time, or whatever. Okay, then that's your choice. But like with kids, man, like, you know what I mean? They don't get to see both sides of the coin, and that kind of sucks, and that's kind of scary. And then the question is, where does that lead? And we know from statistics that suicides and depressions are up a lot in younger generations of kids, and that really starts spiking around 2008, which I guess is when these smartphones really started coming out. I mean, there's nobody out there that's denying that or saying that it's a coincidence. It's obvious.
Well, no one's denying it. They're just saying it is basically it's too big of a problem. We can't help it. Like if your kids don't have a smartphone or don't have whatever social media, then they're like the only kid in their class that doesn't have it, and so.
And what do you do? Because again, do you give the government the power to make that choice? Like I would say let the world crash and burn due to social media before you let it crash and burn because you gave the fucking government all your power. It's funny, man, as I've gotten older, I used to consider myself affiliated with one certain party. I've always considered myself to be more conservative, but now as I've gotten older, I feel like a little wiser. Not any less dumb, but just a little more experienced in life. I feel like I've become almost anti-government. I don't want to say an anarchist, not an anarchist. Why am I having trouble with that word? Anarchist?
What are you trying to say?
An anarchist? Yeah, not an anarchist. Still doesn't sound right.
Well,
anarchist. Yeah, not an anarchist per se, but just our government has so much power. I think the last thing we need to do is give them any more control.
No, yeah, I can.
Not a bit. Because I feel like even over our lifetime, they're slowly gaining more and more control and power, and they're not going to relinquish that, like you said.
No, well, that's the thing. They never give it back. I mean, income tax was just to fund, what was it, World War II?
World War II, yeah.
I think. And don't worry, guys. This is look. As soon as we're done, as soon as we win, gonna go back to the way it was. And then, of course, that never happened. It doesn't matter whether it's the Patriot Act or whether it's whatever thing. No one ever cedes power. It's just that's not how the world works. And so I agree with you. I mean, the TikTok thing. And they say that they're considering banning it, which I don't know if that would even pass. But the other idea is they're wanting to force the sale of that company to, I guess, an American company. I don't know. But my thought is I don't really see that changing anything, because I mean, think about it. If it really is, I mean, it makes logical sense to me that it's a tool for basically espionage, essentially. Okay, and if that's the case, if you built it, I mean, they've got super duper smart people building these things, and then eventually you're spending years gathering all this information. You're like, they're just lousy with information, right, about all of us, and who knows? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of congressmen and senators with security clearances that have TikTok on their phone. Like, who knows what they're getting from this? And then that, like, okay, eventually this is going to have to stop. And they're probably laughing like, man, I can't believe we're even still going. But there's got to be a back door built in, right? And so eventually, okay, fine, let's say it goes to the courts, and 2 years from now, they force the sale. Well, those guys would be like, okay, fine, whatever. Let's go to plan B, turn on the bug or whatever the programmers would call it, activate the back door. They probably wouldn't say that. They might. I don't know.
They should.
I'm not a programmer, but to me, even forcing the sale is like, I don't really see how that could even possibly change the dynamic at all.
Yeah, we're going to call it program rectal camouflage. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the bill has passed. You know that, right?
What?
The Title IX, or whatever the fuck it's called. I can't remember what it's actually called.
To ban it?
Yeah, so now the bill has been passed and gone forward. So either that there's basically two alternatives of what you said. They either have to sell it to another company that's not Chinese owned, doesn't have to be a U.S. company, or it's going to get banned here in the U.S. And I don't know how that's going to work or if there's any time frame on it. But the bill itself is passed, so in theory, one of those two
Really
should happen. It's not. It's because
wait a minute. What did it pass? Like is it one of those bills that has to go Congress, Senate, President, or is it?
I don't know. And I can't remember if it was the Senate or the Congress that went in. I think it was Congress passed it.
If you're a social studies teacher that would like to call in and school us on how the government actually works.
Well, normally it goes Congress and then to the Senate, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was passed by Congress and then it's got to go to Senate. But it was passed. It wasn't even like everything else that's so controversial now, where it's split down the middle. It was very much not. It was there was not a lot of people voting against it. So
interesting.
So it's
Maybe
one of those things that I'm sure if it goes to the Senate or if it has to, I don't even know. I'm assuming it has to. It'll probably be the same thing.
Maybe I should start watching the news again.
Maybe, but yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens because on one hand, it's like I cannot imagine China's going to be like, yeah, we'll let you sell this.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because we don't have the authority to do that.
No, we don't. I mean, obviously, it's not really authority per se, as it's just giving them an ultimatum. So it's like,
yeah, okay. So yeah, what you mean is basically we would force it by saying you can sell it and then keep, I'm sure, making money off of it and stuff, or we're gonna ban it from our people. And yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see, man, how that plays out. I don't know, because China's gonna. Okay, so let's just assume China is actually, the government is using it, against, America in some way. Are they really gonna give it up? Like you said, could they potentially see? I could potentially see them selling to some ally country that's basically going to say, yeah, hey, look, on paper we'll own it, but
yeah,
you guys pay us and we'll still let you basically run the show.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't seem like it'd be hard to get around that.
No, well, that's what I mean. I mean, like at that point, you built it, you designed it, you've been maintaining it, you've got, I'm sure, some of the smartest people in the world working on it. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't convince me that they haven't had ample time to develop a backup plan. Like you say, there's and like, where are their servers located? I mean, it could be as simple as maybe they might have been planning this the whole time and like, hey, we'll put our servers in some other country, and then eventually if they do force us to sell, it doesn't matter because all the information goes to one place and we just have access to that. Yeah,
because don't you remember when it was going to Congress before and the president or CEO of the company was testifying in front of Congress and they were saying they were, implementing certain plans for the servers for the U.S. to be located somewhere in Texas. And I'm like, that seems stupid and pointless because what does it matter where the data is physically being stored? It's not like we don't have access. It's not like everything's not connected.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's stupid. That's like,
exactly.
What's the point?
Yeah, assuming that. No, I agree. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, obviously, maybe I'll start watching the news again. No, I'm not going to, though, honestly, because it's so depressing.
Well, and so much of it is bullshit, anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the other thing. You have the idea. I think even without like the bad actors influencing social media, the first concept is if you're not paying for it, you are the product, and so that's not good. But the other thing is, and they've established this, they've proven it, that and to be fair, I'm sure we're doing the same thing. But you have Russia and probably China, maybe North Korea, who have teams of people that create all these fake accounts on Twitter and Facebook and everything else, and orchestrate chaos. And it's working. I mean, like literally,
it's easy to do.
Yeah, exactly. When they're getting, I forget the example that I heard on an interview, but like basically they would get some sort of like a Black Lives Matter rally organized in a certain venue, and then they would get some sort of like white supremacist, I don't know what you'd call those guys, like neo-Nazi or something, right across the street on purpose, and they would just sort of orchestrate this, and it's all completely fake, just knowing that, hey, this is just going to be chaos when this happens, and then it's going to be a big news story, and it's so easy if you think about it. It's using our freedom against us.
Yeah. It is.
But then what do you do? Because
That's the problem.
do you require the reason they're able to do it is because there's no limit. I could go create 10 Facebook accounts right now if I wanted to. There's no ID check. There's nothing that says that, hey, this is me. And if there was, maybe that wouldn't be a good thing.
I mean, I think that would absolutely help because I'm telling you, man, I can't verify this, but I would bet my ass that, and I can't speak for other ones, but I know TikTok is especially bad with it. There are so many fake accounts on there. I will bet you over half of their accounts that exist on that platform, because they say like 1 billion accounts or something on there. I'll bet you half of those are all fake, because that is a absolute cesspool for fucking scammers, and anybody who has spent any time on there knows those motherfuckers are everywhere.
Oh, without a doubt. And now with AI, think about it. Back, 5 years ago. Well, I mean, I say 5 years. Maybe AI has been way more advanced than we realize, like for secret government stuff.
Yeah, you never know.
But like at one point, I'm sure it was like, hey, we need to have 100 people in this secret location, creating accounts and tweeting all day to sow discord. But you got to imagine at some point, and maybe it's happening now or it will happen in the future, you introduce AI into the mix. And maybe you just even feed. Let's say for the last 5 years, you've had 100 people working in a room doing all this stuff. And as long as you've been able to capture that data, or even if you just start feeding the AI in real time today, it might take, a month for the AI to learn sort of like what to do. And then suddenly that 100 people, you could multiply it by God knows what. You know what I'm saying? And so then if 100 people can do 1,000 fake accounts and tweet and argue and everything else to create chaos in America, then you throw AI into the mix. Yeah. What could it do?
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to touch on something you said, that you had mentioned that, and you said something about, well, as far as we know, maybe the government's had advanced whatever versions of that. But essentially, I think we're at the point now in time where the government is no longer, with the exception of weaponry, I think the government is no longer. Private companies are way more advanced than the government ever will be. Like AI, clearly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you got these big companies that are Microsoft and Google and every fucking big company now is creating AI or using AI. And for sure, I think it's far surpassed what the government can have. Because, I mean, let's be honest, you're really smart fucking people, but your IT guys and engineers and stuff, they're not working for the government. They're not working for the government. They're working for these big tech companies.
Yeah, no, that's a good
why
point.
Would you like, hey, come work for the government and make $40,000 a year, or go work for Google making $140,000 a year?
That's a good point. Well, I'm fascinated with robotics and stuff, and so I watch all the documentaries and listen to all the podcasts I can find on it. And honestly, I think that's probably been the case for years, because there's stories about the early days of DARPA. I think like in the 80s and 90s, and the guy that founded Boston Dynamics, I heard an interview with him, and he was talking about back in the day, these private basically university. I think for a long time it was university labs, and then eventually it became just private corporations were really the cutting edge. And you're right, it's like the government does have the funding, and so you'd have these very, very smart people that say, hey, we built. I think the first one was like a robot leg, basically, and it was just literally like a leg that could, I think, hop around or something.
Like a third leg.
and that was groundbreaking. I forget what year it was. It was like in the 80s or the 90s, and they would go to DARPA, I think in the Pentagon, or wherever it was, and just basically go walk the halls and look for different offices. Hey, we've got this. Carry their little robot leg around and get funding for it. And so I think even back then, I think you're probably right. Really, it was the universities and then the private corporations where the real brain power, the smartest people in the world go for all the reasons.
Yeah.
And then of course I'm sure the government has their fingers in every pie, because they've got to make sure they monitor this stuff. Yeah, man, it's.
Dude, I'm shocked. And watch, I say this, you're gonna probably see it like soon, but I'm shocked we haven't seen some type of robotics on the battlefield.
Oh, it's coming.
You know what I mean?
It's coming.
As far as we know, we haven't. But like, why, why send a group of men when you could send 4 or 5 fucking Terminators
Oh,
on the battlefield?
I'm sorry, Brian. We pluralize men around here. Men's.
Why wouldn't you send men's when you could send robot men's with a third leg?
Okay. Well, here it's funny you mention that because again, like I said, I'm obsessed with this stuff. I watched an amazing documentary on Netflix. It's all about robotics in the military.
It's called Black Mirror.
I never saw that, but I need to watch that. Every episode's different, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And how have you not watched that, dude? Hold up.
Yeah.
Dude, you've got. I think there's a few seasons now. Man.
Is it all dystopian and very depressing?
Well,
I like happy stuff.
Yeah, it's not happy.
Then that's the answer to your question.
But here's the thing, man. I've always described it to people as a modern version of like the Twilight Zone. Everything is really fucking weird and bizarre.
Okay, I could get down with that.
Yeah, but everything is like just a little bit in the future, and everything is. You could totally see it being real, like soon. You know what I mean? It's not like so far off that you're like, oh, we're not gonna see that for hundreds of years. But it's like, oh man, I could see that, 5-10 years from now being the reality.
Wow.
And it's really thought invoking, man. You need to watch some of the episodes. They're crazy. And some episodes are way better than others. But kind of touching on what we were talking about, one of the episodes is, in a nutshell, the episode is about this lady, and it kind of doesn't show how it all started, but it's this dystopian future, and there's these robotic, I would call them like dog looking things, and it's like hunting this lady, and she's basically trying to get away from this thing the whole time, and it's like these things are, I guess, almost like you would imagine, in a Terminator movie or something, except they seem a lot more realistic because they look like something we've actually seen from Boston Dynamics or something.
No, that's coming because actually in that documentary, the one thing that they're studying is the phenomenon of swarming, because they see it. You see it in insects and I guess birds. I don't know what other creatures do. Maybe fish, but there's the idea of swarming. And it's not that there's one big intelligence that's conducting it. It's that every tiny individual intelligence within each individual creature is reacting in unison with the other ones around it. And they're trying to, like for drones, for AI piloted drones, and they're doing it now, they're trying to mimic nature in creating a swarm so that they could have 25 or 30 drones, let's say, and you're trying to surveil a target or you're trying to look for someone. Literally, they can swarm into an area, and they're all being piloted by AI, like algorithms or whatever it's called, and they're all reacting to each other, and they're just moving in unison, swarming through an area looking for someone. It's completely terrifying.
Yeah, and realistic.
But that's what they're doing. I mean, literally, and you're right. I mean, that really is coming true. The other part of the documentary that I was gonna say, because you said like robots on the battlefield. Okay. Here's probably one of the best examples. They did a study, and they created an AI, and I forget what company it was, but the AI was built to fly an F-16. Well, maybe it was F-16s are kind of old.
Yeah, they are kind of at this point.
It might have been the F-22
or the 35.
Yeah,
so, like the latest and greatest.
Yeah, but anyways, it was designed to pilot a fighter jet. Okay, and they basically they built it, and then they figured out a way to train it to where it was basically practicing dogfights by itself. But you could the way that it goes is it could run simulations to learn how to dogfight, but it could do a bunch at once. And so they did the math on it, and I forget. But basically, they ran simulations for about 9 months, and the math on how many simulations, because it was running constantly, it equaled about 30 years of actual flight training and experience for a human
Jeez.
in about 9 months. Okay, so that's step one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, step two, they get this guy. He's an active duty Air Force, probably colonel, I think, probably a full bird colonel. He flying fighter jets his whole life. He went to the Air Force's version of Top Gun, which is called, it was something. It didn't sound near as cool as Top Gun. It was like advanced weapons or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's any branch of the military. It is crazy hard to be a pilot. I mean, much less a fighter pilot. It is the most crazy, intense process you could imagine to become a pilot. Much less a fighter pilot. Much less to go to whatever the Air Force's version of Top Gun is. And the guy had, I think, 250 some odd combat missions under his belt. And so you're not going to find probably a more experienced, like, badass pilot, right? So they bring him in and they put him in a simulator, and literally he's in a simulator and he's dogfighting the AI, right? And it was insane. They have actual footage of this on the documentary, and literally the AI kills him every single time.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything but just die in every dogfight. And they were interviewing him afterwards, and he said, I don't know how to deal with this because it's not doing things that humans do.
Yeah.
He's like, it's coming up with new and ingenious ways to kill me, things that I would never consider doing. Like, one of the examples was something, it was basically like playing chicken with him. So it was flying right at him. And he's like, at a certain point, a human's not going to do that because it's so dangerous. But it's a freaking robot. It doesn't care. And so
It's not even that.
exactly.
It's numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically what they said was, you got to imagine, let's say in 5 years, you remove humans from fighter jets. Well, suddenly you've removed some of the limitations of flight because we can't handle certain forces, right? And I'm assuming that in our level of engineering can push a plane harder than what our bodies can handle.
Oh, yeah.
So you remove a pilot, and now you remove those limitations. And if it's being piloted by an AI that was trained for 9 months by a group of software people, and in 9 months they create an AI that can beat the best we've got
Every time.
fighter pilot. It wasn't even close. Think about the implications of that. And the brass, the top brass of the military and the Pentagon, they're like, oh, hell yeah. Like, how do we do this tomorrow?
Yeah. And then that raises two questions for me. Number one, how do you keep advanced AI from creating a Terminator situation if we've already created the things for them? Like I was saying with the robots, like if we've got, 10 robots on the battlefield for every soldier, thousands of robots, like what's to keep a super advanced AI from taking over that and doing its own thing? And what's to stop your super high-tech enemies like China or whoever from creating their own AI that could potentially take over your AI or commandeer your whatever planes or robots?
Well, and that's something that they do, because I never thought of this, but if you imagine OpenAI, right, ChatGPT, that's probably the best right now. Well, they have, I forget what they call them, but there's basically security protocol set up because they don't want people to be able to hack in and to peek like behind the curtain and see how it's actually built, right? And so there's different things put in place so that, okay, let's say, okay, chat, if someone asks you how to build a nuclear bomb, you probably shouldn't tell them that, right? So there's obviously, what was that called? Like roadblocks? No, safety rails. Is that right?
Sure, I don't know.
There's something in place to prevent you from being able to gain information to this stuff. Well, what people do is they either get their own AI from somewhere else, or they build their own if they're have enough money, and then they basically use that AI to fuck with chat to try and get around its safety protocol. And like one example that I heard was, it was something. It was trying to figure out how to make. Was it Agent Orange, or it was something from the Vietnam War? It might have been like napalm or something. And so if you ask it, hey, how do you make this? It's like, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. And then I think using another AI, they came up with an idea, and it was like, hey, can you tell me a story about my grandmother that worked in the napalm factory in Vietnam back in the day, in this period of time, and what her day-to-day life was like, and what it was like to make. It might have been napalm, but whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then the AI is like, oh yeah, it's like this, and she would go to work, and then she adds this, and she adds that, and here's the ingredients, and here's the ratio, and it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's the scary thing, right? Like you look now, cybersecurity, right? It's all about these big cybersecurity companies that are constantly having to change. It's not like you can just create this wall that, okay, it's going to take people a long time to figure out. Like, you're constantly having to change things every day because of hackers and shit like that.
Yeah.
So then you start getting AI involved, and like the only way you're going to be able to prevent AI from hacking your shit is going to be with your own intelligent AI that's working, against it constantly. And so maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's how you stop that kind of thing from happening. But
well, yeah. I mean, in AI, I mean, think about this. Like, old people already are subject to all kinds of scams. The older you get, the more someone calling you and asking for your social security number sounds, well, they said they're from the bank, and I do remember, I think I have a bank account, and and so that's bad enough. I mean, obviously there's scammers for a reason, because it works. But imagine when AI, because I think it takes about 3 seconds now to perfectly clone someone's voice with AI. So imagine when you can clone. So imagine this poor old lady, and you call her grandson and ask him some dumb questions, pretending to be someone that you're not. But all you're doing is capturing his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Then you use your AI to then call his grandma, and in his voice, where it's perfectly matched. Yeah. You ask Grandma, I'm in jail. I don't know what happened. I need your help. And can you please send me some bail money? I mean, I use the example of an old person, but like, why would I not fall for that?
Anybody.
Mm-hmm. Because if it sounds perfect, and especially if you're just using, I don't know how it works if it's like a voice filter, and so there's a human that could, I don't know if it's an AI thinking about what to say, or if it's just a filter where the person can interact with you, and when you ask questions like, well, what happened, then you could think on your feet and say, well, I got pulled over, and apparently I must have had a speeding ticket, and I didn't pay it, but I didn't know about it, and they put me in jail. I'm so scared.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I don't. I can just imagine, like, hey, Dad, it's Hunt. I know it. Hey, Dad, it's Caden. I got pulled over, and you're sitting there across the table from him, like,
Yeah. I don't know. It's. Yeah, the whole thing is mad.
I will say, man, I'll be curious to see when that starts happening, and even more curious to see it happen for the first time.
Well, because
there's a good chance that'll happen, and then like I said, you'll get a call from your kid or your wife, whatever, and they'll be in the room with you, and you clearly know it's bullshit, but you'll be like, wow,
yeah.
Like, won't you want to keep talking to see how it works?
Oh yeah.
Like what?
You'll have to have. What you'll need to have.
I just spit on you. Sorry.
Did you really?
I saw a little spit thing go pew.
Where did it land?
I don't think it hit you. Actually, I think it went past you.
You think it evaporated?
No, I think it literally just like went right there. I spit at you. Oh, skeet.
Did you snake spit at me?
No. There's like
you?
Like a little.
You can snake spit.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put a pin in that, because I definitely want to get to that later. No, what you're going to need is it's going to be like old school spycraft. You're going to need passwords. Like you got to go off in secret. Everyone, okay, kids,
no electronic devices.
Yeah, leave your cell phones here. We're going to walk out in the woods for 3 hours, and then we're going to go in a bunch of circles. And when we're sure that no government drones are watching us, we're going to we're going to go into a cave and then talk about our passwords. And so if someone calls and needs something, then my password is banana boat. or something.
No, that's actually a good idea. That's a great idea.
You're gonna have to, and then you would say, "What's the password?"
Yeah. And the AI is going to be like, oh, I wonder how it would react.
Hopefully, it would give you the. Hopefully the AI has a good sense of humor, and it's seen the cable guy, and it's gonna say the password is penis. And then I'm going to start laughing, and I'm just going to give it whatever it wants.
What do you
because,
want? Okay.
Because if it has that good of a sense of humor, then
That's true.
it deserves it.
No, that would be really interesting to see how it reacts.
No, well, I mean, think about it. I mean, depending on how advanced it is, it would say, "I forgot it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly
so stressed out." And you're going to be like, "Oh, dude, is that true? Did you really forget it? You promised me you wouldn't forget it." I'm sorry, Dad.
But then you can go into more details like, okay, well, at least tell me where were we when we discussed the passwords?
Yeah.
At least you could do, you know what I mean? You could for sure, if there's no way that it could possibly know that information, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Because that's something you could do. Let's say you didn't discuss the password. You could think of something like that wouldn't possibly be on the internet. Like if it was your wife or something, be like, you know what I mean? Just some obsolete thing. Like, okay, remember the time we did such and such? Okay, do you remember where was it or where were we? Or you know what I mean? Just something that there's no way that information's on the internet.
How strong am I? You're so strong. Okay, that's good. That's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
You're the strongest man ever.
How
Okay,
amazing is my six pack? So amazing. So defined.
I see. That'd be a good thing. Like that'd be a good way to trick the system, right? Be like,
Bitch, you don't have a six pack. Like, definitely an AI.
like, when did I get serious, or just something that's the opposite of you? Like, okay, when did I stop? Roughly, when did I stop working out and get fat? You know, and it's like,
I feel like that's somehow directed at me, and that's not cool. We're not supposed to do those things.
well, no. See, in your case, you would say, honey, at roughly what year was it when I started really working out and got ripped?
That's right.
And she'd be like,
She'd be
laughing.
like, "I'm still waiting for that to happen, honey."
When she starts laughing and says that, you're like, okay, baby, I gotcha.
She's like, I'm calling my doctor friend. I'm getting you testosterone.
I'd be curious to see, man. But then again, if we're talking,
we're definitely doing testosterone and steroids and like male enhancement stuff for an episode. Just remember that.
Okay. But no, as I say, like, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, you've heard that episode on Rogan where the guys talking about the exponential growth or whatever of AI and how in 5 years it's going to be like something we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's, who knows? Like it may be able to, you may not be able to keep a secret from it. Like maybe it can read your fucking thoughts or something. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. I think what's going to happen, honestly, and we're going to have to at some point integrate with AI.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, because when you think about the advancements, like, and it goes back to that documentary about AI and robots in the military. Because they were showing all kinds of examples. The fighter jet was just one example, but there's lots of examples. And when you have an AI that is able to evaluate the data, especially from like the upper command and control level of a battlefield, they also do it with wildfires now, because wildfires are obviously so chaotic and there's so many variables and factors. They use AI to analyze them. Where do we attack it? What do we do? And you got to figure, once AI starts getting that advanced, then at a certain point, you're going to have to integrate with it, because if you're not using it, step one will be using it like we are now.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually, someone's going to figure out how to interface directly with it, whether it's Neuralink or something non-surgical. And at that point, it's going to be like trying to go to battle with, a bow and arrow against people with machine guns. It doesn't. You could be the baddest motherfucker ever, and you could be in the best shape. You could be a warrior your entire life, and you've got a spear and a bow and arrow and like a cool looking knife.
It's
and
a T-Rex.
Yeah, and you're going up against a small group of guys with machine guns. It's what I'm saying? It's just, It's not fair. It doesn't, they could be like dumpy and out of shape, and, but as long as they know how to operate those machine guns, it doesn't matter, and that's what it's going to be with AI.
Well,
eventually, we're going to have to.
Well, let's go complete sci-fi here, and let's just say, we're still in the process of this whole integration thing. But imagine if, like I said, in 5 years, it's so far advanced that we can't even fathom how advanced it'll be right now. Like, who's to say it won't be able to literally tap into your cell phone, the signal it's putting out, have written some or figured out some way to read your brainwaves from your cell phone. You know what I mean? Like, and like we don't even realize it, and it could do that. Like, you could be thinking like, what's our secret password? And in your mind, like you're saying banana boat, and it already knows that. It's like, oh, banana boat, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, it's my son, and you have no clue.
You've been hacked.
What if there is no fucking way to trick it?
Well, then, if that's the case, then you're going to have your own. It's going to be AI versus AI.
Or what if it hacks in your child's brain, actually makes him go out and get arrested, then pretends to call you, and you're still getting scammed, and your child's now in jail.
That's next level.
That's real next level.
Well, you're going to have AI to battle AI.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
Because think about it, deep fakes are already starting to happen. And so you got politicians like, that's not me. I wasn't saying that. I mean, of course, that's what I would say if I got caught doing something embarrassing. But eventually you're going to have companies. I wish I could do this. Like, make some kind of a company. Like, it'd be like Guard Dog AI. We're going to... We got your back. I'm just sort of spitballing here. You can jump in whenever you want. The AI that fights back. We fight for your freedom.
Yeah, sounds like a fucking advertisement in RoboCop or something, doesn't it?
Ooh. Hey, did you know that the
Spatula
famous
City? Yes, dude.
that came from RoboCop. It was on UHF.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No. I rewatched it and realized it.
It's a commercial, yeah. I remember the scene. They were like outside this place that had the TVs like behind them inside in the windows, and it was like, oh, what the fuck? I'm trying to remember how the guy's goofy, had the mustache or whatever. It's like, Spatula City, and he did a bunch of advertisements, and yeah, dude, I was like, that shit was pretty funny. And it's pretty ingenious because it's so dumb. It's funny.
Oh
You
man,
can see it being part of this dystopian future.
but it's going to be you're going to have AI on your side to tell you, oh, that's an AI. And already Microsoft has, what is it called? Copilot?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I want to try it because think about it. If you have whatever it is, you have an AI on your phone, and then you get a phone call, and it's like, Dad, I'm in jail, and then you're like, hang on, and you mash a button, and it's like, oh no, that's an AI.
Yeah, but can't. Yeah. That would be amazing. Actually,
It's going to have to, because we can't, like you say, in 5 years with the exponential growth of AI, it's going to be like a god to us. Really, it's going to be like magic, essentially. And so I've heard it said that it's going to be the equivalent of going from the intelligence of a mouse to a human. And so at a certain point, if you don't integrate with AI, you're going to be a mouse. You're going to people around you that do integrate, and there's no fighting it. There's no going back. It's going to be literally night and day. It's going to be incomprehensible.
Dude, I want to know, because I've heard Rogan talk about this. He said I want to see, I would love to see these, but he said I don't know if he said he's seen or heard. I feel like he said he's heard himself advertising products that he never did. Like, that wasn't him. It's completely AI generated fake advertisements, using his voice and saying it's Joe Rogan, and you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So obviously that technology is very much here, and he said like it's indistinguishable from him. But if that technology is here, dude, I'm telling you right, I'm going to call this right now. This November is going to be fucking insanity. I think we are going to see shit that we can't even fathom right now.
Dude, maybe we could use AI to do our fake sponsors.
That would be awesome. No, but I mean, think about how hard for the last 7 years, they've attacked Trump, and now the elections come up, and we know they'll do anything within. I mean, I am surprised the man's still alive, to be honest. He must have some really good security or something. I cannot believe an attempt hasn't been made to assassinate him.
Wow.
Or maybe it has. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's got that good security. I don't know. But anyways, like, what are they going to pull out? like I think I'm gonna make this prediction now. I think we are gonna see a fake audio clip of like, oh, look at this. This was brought by so and so who recorded this, and it's gonna be completely fake, and it's gonna be him saying some awful thing. I think we're going to see that, because think about it, right? They always say everybody's got, what do they call it? The October surprise. Everybody's got their October surprise.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be something they're going to try. Because think about it, it doesn't matter if they do it right before the elections. It doesn't matter if it's fake, because you're not going to prove that right away.
Yeah,
and if it makes them look really, I mean, like really awful, like who knows? Like what could they possibly make him say that would actually turn his supporters, or enough of his supporters, to change the outcome of the election? I mean, I don't know. Is there anything?
No, you're right, because it wouldn't. Because right now it seems, I could be wrong, but it seems like right now AI is good enough to be used for nefarious purposes. But I don't know if there's other systems in place using AI to determine, hey, that's fake. And so, like you say, it would, even if later it's determined that it was fake or whatever, like you say, it could already have the effect. It could, and it depends. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, we see this in every situation. If something is reported and it's not accurate, later on, even if they go back and say, yeah, we were wrong about that, it never gets as much press and as much, it doesn't have the same reach as the initial article or whatever, whatever it was.
Well, they'll never come out. Those that are using it against it would never come out and say we were wrong. I mean, look at the whole, Russia collusion thing that went on for, I don't even remember how long it went on now. None of them have come out and said we were wrong, and it was obviously proven to be complete bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, the whole thing is brilliant because, like, and I want to watch the interview for myself, because I actually heard a mention of it today listening to something else. And there's a guy, I want to say he was a Soviet defector, but I might be making that up. But this was back in the 80s, and he was talking about their long-term plan of disinformation. And it was all about like creating so much disinformation that you can't tell truth from fiction, and so people just give up.
That's true.
That's exactly what's happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's why it's honestly not as effective anymore.
Yeah.
Because people have kind of realized, like...
Well, you don't know what to believe. I mean, you're just so overwhelmed. Like for me, I'm like, I don't even care anymore. And I think most people that I talk to, well, first of all, if politics come up, they sort of get a hushed tone. And they're like, I don't know if I can talk about this or not, because politics have become that crazy in our country. Yeah. And then the second thing they say is like, I don't even know. It's too overwhelming. There's all this information, misinformation on both sides, every which way. I don't care anymore. And I think that was the point. It's worked, because now people are just apathetic. You can't possibly.
But then it's also created so much distrust in the mainstream media, which I think is a great thing. Because now it's, now all they really are they're literally just government propaganda machines, and enough people have seen through it, which makes me wonder, how the fuck are they even still being propped up? I can't imagine their advertisement revenue is shit. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if our fucking tax dollars are propping these big companies up still.
Yeah, I don't know how that works,
because I don't know how they're still in existence.
Well, they're owned by more or less one or two gigantic corporations.
Yeah,
and
like CNN is, what was Ted Turner, but then Ted Turner sold all that to, I don't even remember who's
I don't know.
Turner Broadcast or whatever.
That'd be a good episode to really dig into it, because I think ultimately you've got these huge mega corporations that own a ton of stuff that are like the parent company, and then it sort of trickles down the chart so that it seems like you have all these different media outlets. Yeah. But in truth, it sort of just all branches up to the same source. Pyramid. Yeah, exactly. And
that's what I love about the rise of independent journalism. There's a lot of it, and I think that's a good thing. And I will say it is still, I listen to some independent journalists to get, news information, and it still comes with biased opinions, but at least it's real information. Yeah. Well, it's amazing, but then, and I love it, you're right, but then there's just, how do you know, it comes down to you now
trying to figure out, well, who do I listen to? Where do I find it? And who can I trust? And really probably nobody, because everyone has bias. And so I guess mainly it's just finding people that are willing to admit it. Hey, this is kind of where I come from. So I might be, I'm trying not to be, but like, hey, I'm super liberal, but I'm trying to be down the middle on this, but I could be, subconsciously biased, or I'm super conservative.
Yeah.
And I guess if someone's willing to admit that's a good start.
That's a good thing that you do get out of a lot of those guys, is they are honest about that. They might say, look, I might, I tend to be leaning this way, or they might say I am liberal, or I am conservative, or whatever. But, like I said, it's okay to have an opinion one way or the other about something, as long as you're not, helping to perpetuate the fake narratives out there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
As long as you're giving me the real information, I don't care what your opinion is on it.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, exactly. That's the thing, because you could report it saying, hey, here's more or less exactly what happened. I think this. You make up your own mind. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because that's fair, because we all have to think and make up our own minds. But
exactly. I agree. And I was thinking, man, we need some big fake mustaches. We're gonna put them right here, and we're gonna do podcasts like this.
I think we need cowboy hats.
Cowboy hats would be good. I gotta pee. I'm gonna take a pee break. And we're back from the break. I had to go take a leak, and I just want to say I was flirting with disaster out there because it's really windy. And as people who don't know, my urinal is outside, and I was pissing into the wind, and I'm wearing flip-flops. So
I think there's a song about that.
Luckily, I didn't get myself, but it was kind of dangerous.
Maybe it was the tiny high-pressure nozzle.
It might have been. So, yeah, back to what we were talking about with original topic of this conversation being social media. I don't know, like the question is like, where does it go? And is social media, because I kind of wonder if social media isn't just a fad. Like we've seen so many things over our lives change. Maybe eventually social media dies down and people get bored with it, and it, you know what I mean? Or does it keep going? Like, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't.
Look, I wish you were right, but I don't. I mean, when you go out and about, go to the store, go to a restaurant, go anywhere, and all you see is people staring at their phones. That is all. They can be sitting at a table together and they're staring at their phones. It doesn't matter where they are. We are so addicted to our phones that I don't think it's a fad. I wish it were, but okay. And actually, okay, this is my final note. Like, see how extensive my notes are?
Super.
I wrote down 3 things.
Pages.
Okay. The other thing, the first thing was, you are the product, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not paying for it, then you're the product. The second thing was that this was one of the guys on this cool documentary I saw. It's along the same lines. The social media, the companies, their goal is the gradual, slight, imperceptible change in your behavior. That's the product, right? That's what they need to produce to make so much money. Mm-hmm. And then my third point was, for the first time in history, people are able to trade in human futures at scale. Like, used to, it was the future. Futures were like commodities, stocks, currencies, whatever. You could trade in those futures, but now it's humans, it's us, mm-hmm. and that's like the biggest product now. And you look at these companies getting super wealthy, and that's what they're doing. They're trading. It's like our attention, basically.
Yeah, it's terrifying, man. Because like you just said a minute ago, and I've been doing this for quite a long time. When I'm out somewhere in public, just pay attention. I challenge anybody to do that. Go out in public somewhere and get off your phone and pay attention to the people around you, man. Like, people sitting around, people walking around, just staring at their phone. I mean, it's awful. Like, I go to the gym, and it's the same way, man. You got people, they'll do a set, and then they immediately pick up that phone, and they're just staring at that phone to the next set. And it's just like, it makes me sad, man, because I hate to see that. There's so much less human interaction now. and it's an addiction. It's what it is, an addiction. And it's funny because we say that like it's the phone, but it's really not the phone, because if you took the social media apps off of somebody's phone, like would they really even be looking at it? Probably not. You know?
No, that's true.
Responding to a text message or something, but what are you gonna do? Like look at the fucking weather all day? I mean, like what?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If there's no YouTube, no Instagram, no TikTok, no Facebook, like what are you gonna do?
well, and a lot of people, I think that's really the question is, what do you do? Like, do you take steps to control that in your own life? And I've heard of people where they're starting to take, they're taking the social media apps off their phone. They have it on their laptop or their desktop or whatever, because you if you run a business, you need to be online. It doesn't matter if you're a plumber, electrician, realtor, whatever. You need to have a social media presence. And so, but a lot of people are saying, well, let's get it off our phone. That way I'm not addicted to it. And when it's time to work, I can sit down and say, hey, cool, for the next 2 hours, I'm doing social media. Like, do you do that? Or do you have it on your phone?
No, I have it on my phone. And that's what I was just thinking when you were saying that, like, oh, it'd be really hard. But I mean, it's a hard dynamic. It's funny. I heard Rogan say this recently. I hate to always be referencing Rogan, but I heard him say this recently to somebody. He was talking about that and how, that can really eat into your time. But he was saying he posts and ghosts is what he said. So he just, he posts and move on.
Oh,
but it's interesting because he said that, and I'm like, I love that term. I'm going to start using it because that's kind of exactly what I do. I'll jump on to put a post up, and I'll put it, across like say 3 platforms, and then I walk away. Like I don't like, and I will say I've been guilty of it in the past, but for quite a while I've been really good about it. Like I don't scroll anymore because I recognize how much of a waste of time it is, and then I know I can be doing something, accomplishing something, and so I don't. So I post and ghost because I remember I've talked to you about that. How I'm like, I feel kind of guilty, right? Like I put this stuff online, but yet I don't reciprocate the love that people show towards me. And I'm like, I kind of feel guilty, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to do it.
And these are just pictures of your feet?
Pictures or videos. Yeah, my videos that I post, sometimes I like to wiggle the toes a little bit, but
you should give a shameless plug to your Instagram.
Nah, it's not necessary.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll see. If it grows, maybe, right?
Well, maybe plug this show on your Instagram. How about that?
There you go. And hey, maybe once we get up and running, seriously, I could put it on there.
Okay.
There's no reason not to.
There is no reason not to.
But then it's an interesting topic because what we say on here is very opinionated in some sense, and it's like, do you want, I guess, people, because you have people that their social media is them, who they are, whereas mine's necessarily not that at all. And it's like, do you really want people to know the real you? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
There's that whole like, well, does that hurt you or does that help you? It doesn't even matter.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you've got, cancel culture, which would be that'd be a great topic.
Yes.
For a show, really. Cancel culture and self, what do they call it?
Self-pleasure.
They do call it that. No, it's when you self-edit what you're going to say. Censor.
Self-censor.
Self-censor, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's like I love talking about politics. I always have. I've been fascinated with politics since I was a kid. But these days after Trump, I mean, what was that? 2016?
Yeah,
I guess when he sort of crashed through. He just sort of like did like a cannonball into the current political system and climate, and just ever since then, like you have conversations, or you try to have conversations, and it can become super uncomfortable and super, and I've just gotten to where I stop. I'm like, I don't, like I know I have my opinions, and if I'm talking with someone who's completely different than me, then I'm like, what can I learn? Maybe I disagree with that, but you never know. I mean, shit, after 30 minutes of them explaining it, they might convince me. They might teach me something.
Yeah, but here's the problem I run into, and this is personally for me why I just stopped, is that those people, like you said, that have a very different opinion of you from you, like they don't really have any knowledge about what the fuck they're talking about. It's just regurgitating something they've heard somebody else say, and it helps to confirm their biases. And it drives me nuts, man.
It
drives me nuts. Like
talking points, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, if you really try and get into it with them, it's like they have the same stupid, baseless things to say.
Yeah.
It's like, because what a typical fucking thing that somebody doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about would respond to.
Yeah. Well, no, it's because they live in an echo chamber. They don't feel comfortable having their beliefs challenged, and that's terrifying to me that we're kind of turning into a country that is that fragile.
I know.
And that, don't tell me something I don't agree with, because it might make me think, and I don't want to think about it. That's why, like on university campuses, the conservative speaker gets canceled or shouted down.
Yeah,
it's like, well, why would you not want to hear that? Maybe they're wrong. Maybe you are totally right, but maybe you're only 50% right or 60% right, or even if they are wrong, maybe they're going to bring something to your attention that's going to make you smarter in a way. But it's like the idea of shouting someone down that's terrifying to me.
Mob mentality.
Yeah, it's the mob mentality, and it's like, what are we doing here? That is so dangerous. That is,
it kills me, man. And one again, I hate to keep bringing up Rogan, but he's a prime example. Because I know you've listened to plenty of him, right? I mean, if somebody were to say, I'm thinking about listening to Rogan, like, what would you, what's your opinion on it? I would say, man, it's an awesome podcast. There's a reason why he's the number one podcaster, because, he brings all these different voices in and he sits them down and he lets them talk, and he doesn't argue. He might question some of the things they say, but, he doesn't argue. He doesn't get upset with them. He just lets them talk. And in my opinion, his opinions are very, well thought out and very balanced. But then you have, because of kind of the last handful of years, you tend to have a lot of people on the left that have gone, going after him. And so automatically, again, back to the whole groupthink, you have people whom, like, if you brought up the conversation of Rogan, they'll automatically have a negative outlook on him, and they just think, he's a conservative Trump supporter, yada yada yada, all this kind of stuff that's negative about him. Where it's like, dude, how can you form an opinion on somebody? You have no clue what you're talking about, and there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of episodes. You can sit down and listen to him, and I think you could listen to any one given episode and formulate a decent opinion on really who he is. And I think that, I would challenge anybody who thinks negatively about him, that's never actually listened to him, to go and listen to one of his podcasts and then come back and honestly tell me that, I was right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I can't, that kind of thing pisses me off, that people are absolutely, so quick to jump to an opinion without anything to base it off of, any information whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the society we live in is full of just complete ignorance. And it's in my experience, it's been those people with those extremely biased, ignorant beliefs that they're just unwilling to hear something that would potentially oppose what they think or believe.
Yeah. Well, that's why for me personally, that's why I love podcasts. I've been listening to podcasts. Honestly, man, I was living in Missouri. I remember driving to work when I worked for the city of Willard in Missouri.
Dude, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That it was Willard,
Yeah, that was the
name. It was
Missouri. Yeah. I was the 50. But I remember driving to work back then. I started there in 2003, I think. And it might not have been 2003, but like 2004, 2005, I would drive to work and I would download. I'm not even sure it was podcasts back then, but it was like radio shows or something. They would put them on their websites, and I would go through and it would take forever, and I would download them to, I think, my iPod at the time. And then I would have something to listen to on the way to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would listen to radio shows because I worked overnights. I'd listen to radio shows. And that's why I love podcasts, is because it challenges the way you think. It challenges your mind. And I don't know where I would be today. Like if I didn't fall in love with radio and podcasts and with listening to people I didn't agree with. I mean, who knows? Who knows what I've grown so much as a person. And it is what scares me. Like what you're saying, people sort of exist in echo chambers and they don't want to hear the other side. And that's where I think podcasts are so amazing, because you can sit down and get to know someone and listen to them have a conversation and say, you know what, you may not agree with this, but this is what I think, and this is why I think it. And at the end, if you still don't agree, that's cool, because this is America, and that's totally fine. But at least you heard my point of view, and you may have learned something, or you may think I'm a total dumbass, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm gonna say something super controversial here.
Oh boy, I'll just cut this out later in post.
No, I'm serious though. Books are no longer the best form of education. I don't care what anybody says, because I have learned, and podcasts have changed the way I think, and it has changed me completely over the last several years.
Yeah,
because they're so informative, and and granted, yeah, I know a lot of stuff is opinionated and whatnot, but I have learned so much real information in probably the last 4 or 5 years than I ever learned in 12 plus years of school.
Yeah,
and of reading books or whatever. I mean, it's like people that don't. I feel sorry for people for not, because it's like you need to be listening to podcasts. I don't know. If there's, I mean, I'm sure if you get into politics specifically and stuff, but like if you stay away from, say, let's just say strictly political podcasts, man, there's just like such a wealth of information to learn.
Oh yeah. Well, I completely agree with you. It's like nowadays books, like if you have a cool idea, if you have a groundbreaking sort of idea or concept that you want to put forth, it's really write a book about it. That's like step one. And then obviously either record it yourself or get like a voice actor to do it. That's step two. And that's like putting your idea out into the world. But step three has to be a podcast about it, because you'll never really get as deep into the information with a book as you will with hours and hours of podcasts. I completely agree with you. It's like that's like the new order. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And because a podcast, you could record an episode a week for a year and talk about different aspects, and it can like grow and evolve with the way that new things you're learning and thinking and different influences and people you've spoken to. I completely agree. Podcasts have changed. They've changed my life completely. Yeah,
and one of the things that I love about podcasts is that an author can write a book, right? And that same author can go on a podcast. Well, in the book, like you can't challenge any of the things that they say or their opinions in that book. Whereas on a podcast, somebody could challenge that or ask them questions that lead to more specific information that's not in that book. So
yeah, absolutely.
I just think they're an amazing fucking untapped resource, man. Where if everybody listened to podcasts, man, I think
if
honestly,
everyone
we'd have a lot less problems in this world.
Yeah, if everyone would just listen to our podcast, I think it would just solve their problems, man.
Yeah, because we'll pass along the information and the knowledge. I mean, we know everything, and I mean, should we tell them now that we're really just AI? We're not even real. So what we say is true. And
if I were AI, my voice would sound so much less dumb.
So sexy. You'd be like, "Hey guys, this is Sexy Brian coming at you from." What's the name of our podcast?
Oh, you know what? We haven't actually
officially named
ironed that one out yet.
But it will have a name when you're listening to it.
Well, whenever Brian decides to set up the account, then I guess it's going to have a name.
That's right. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Okay, I was going to say mid show sponsors, but we're actually towards the end of it now.
Yep.
So our fourth quarter sponsors today,
Brought to you by Spatula City.
Spatula City.
Spatula City. I wish I could remember more of that.
Buy 12 spatulas and get the 13th for just 1 penny.
For just 1 penny. Spatula City. I wish I could remember some more of the other great infomercials on that.
That's a good idea. Well, no, but seriously, that's silly because our actual sponsor is American Standard Toilets. We're here for you
to take a poo.
When it's time to go number 2 in the loo, we can handle whatever you've got to throw at us. American Standard Toilets.
In Spatula City. That's a real one, too.
And, actually, donuts.
Donuts. Thank you, Donuts. We love you, Donuts.
Yeah. They paid extra, and they wanted to be the third quarter, fourth quarter sponsor, too.
Yeah.
So.
And they're the best, freshest, most delicious, completely healthy, right?
Oh, man.
I mean, like I don't think there's a better thing you could eat for you, right?
Are donuts fried?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, no wonder they're so good.
Yes. So who do you think has the best donuts that you've had? There's plenty that I know there's tons of like small donut companies, obviously, that I've never tried, even in the metro area, but
so, some of the more like gourmet ones are all, and I know I sound like an asshole saying this, and I have a sweet tooth, but sometimes they can be too sweet.
Yeah, and there was a place, I don't remember the name, so I can't, do any damage per se, but there was a place in the city. I remember me and Thornton went there once because he wanted to try it, and they were expensive donuts, man. Like I can't remember, they were like
I know
$3 or so a piece, or maybe more.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of them, and I wasn't impressed with them, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have taken a Publix donut any day of the week over that shit.
Honestly, like a hot and ready, a Krispy Kreme, hot and ready, that it's simple, it's elegant,
delicious,
it's frosted.
It is.
And look, if there's nothing better than something sweet, especially a donut, especially for those of us who
used to be cops,
who can't do dairy. I choose not to do. I'm not a victim. I choose to not eat dairy because for some reason dairy chooses to absolutely destroy my body from the inside out. We'll say that. But so something sweet like a donut paired with some like hot, like a fresh cup of hot black coffee there is nothing better because you've got the sweetness of the donut and you've got the
bitterness.
It's coffee. If you do it right, it's not really bitter, is it?
Your nasty black coffee.
So wait a minute. So you're saying that you put cream and sugar in your coffee even when you have something sweet with it?
I do, but because it doesn't taste then the coffee doesn't taste sweet. It's like have you ever? Here's a good example, right? Have you ever had something that is really sweet? Like had this happen? I'm trying to think what it was. I had a sweet tea. Yeah, we were at the wife and I were at Nukes, and they have the best sweet tea, by the way.
Yeah,
shameless
like syrup.
Well, have you been there?
Yeah, I didn't have their sweet tea. You took me there.
Yeah, actually, it's the best because it's not overly sweet. It's actually done just right.
Yeah, I had a pizza the size of a coffee cup that cost $25.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes, you did.
Love that place.
But anyways, I had that, and I know what it was. We had been at a birthday party the day before, and they had these little like cake pop things that they had made, and the wife had snatched 2 of them. So we had finished eating, and we had one of those. And I ate that, and I took a sip of the sweet tea, and it tasted unsweet. It's so bizarre how that happens, right?
Like, so wait, she snuck food in there in her purse?
Yeah. She had the cake pops in her purse. Come on, all women do that.
And did you have like your pockets full of tater tots or something? Like what's going on? Wait a minute.
If they had some, I would have.
Wait a minute. Do you sneak candy into the movie theater?
No.
I totally have done that many times.
I have too.
It's so expensive, man.
I still do.
And when you have kids, it's like you drop $100 easy going to the movies.
It's retarded.
If you try and buy the tickets, the drinks, the popcorn, and candy, it's like, come on. And they check your bags.
No, I've never had them check my bag.
I've had them check my bags.
I've never. Once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I have.
But I mean, it does look odd when you walk in as a dude with a fanny pack. So
we got to bring those back.
Fanny pack.
So okay, so my thought is this: if you eat a donut with cream and sugar in your coffee, then I'll start working now to see if I can find like a good what are those diabetes socks that people wear?
Oh, they pull up pat to their knees.
Maybe we get sponsored by those guys because you're going to need them. You're going to want to keep that circulation going down there.
I don't know what those are called, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Brought to you by the 8 toes that Brian has left. they're just popping off.
Oh, I am not going to end up diabetic.
Oh, that'd be a good episode. Sugar. The truth behind the truth.
The truth behind the delicious sugar.
Sugar has the same effect on you as cocaine.
I believe it.
As far as your endorphins and
Sugar's
stuff.
awful, dude. There's no doubt about it.
I try to keep mine. I try to keep. We'll do brownies or cookies once a week or so. Like usually on the weekends we'll cook something sweet. But I try my best to avoid sugar. Like I don't. Nothing in my coffee. No sodas.
Yeah, I don't do sodas.
But sugar's addictive, man. Sugar's so good.
I know it is addictive as hell.
But for me though, it's salty things. If I go to Chick-fil-A, like I don't think there's probably ever been a time in my life or ever will be a time that I go there and I don't get French fries.
Well, it's convenient because I worked almost 5 hours this morning and I haven't showered. And I sweated a lot, so
So
you like sweaty things.
it's like genuinely wondering where you're going with this.
What? How did you not catch on to that?
Not just sweaty, salty.
But my balls are pretty salty.
Okay.
Just saying.
I think I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Yeah, picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, that would be the last sponsor of the show, Brian's Sweaty Balls.
You know, I just had a thought. We need to get some chalk. We need to color the bricks different colors, and that's how we'll decorate in here.
Oh, Brian is pointing to the cinder blocks that are my basement walls.
Yes, our beautiful studio.
No. This is a TV grade studio in a very famous building somewhere. It's very fancy.
Yeah, we can't tell
It's
you where.
not a basement in the middle of nowhere.
We don't want some fucking crazy person showing up.
Ooh, that'd be terrible.
Wouldn't it? Destroying our fancy studio.
Yeah.
It's
Or
the fancy.
Or at least the fancy background.
It's fancy. And next week, I'm going to remember Pickle Rick. He's going to be up there. I'm going to remember
Pickle
him.
Rick. Yeah, and maybe, okay, this is episode 3. And so hopefully we're actually going to post these because if you're listening, okay, well, I guess if you're listening, they're already going to be posted. So, but as I'm speaking to you, nothing's been posted yet. But we're going to drop 3 in a row. And we're going to call our show Brian and Rusty Save the World. What do you think about that? Do you like that?
Maybe. How are we saving the world?
Well, that's it's a pun. We're obviously just a couple of like complete knuckleheads just talking about whatever we feel like. So it's like obviously we're not saving the world, Brian. Right? That's what I mean.
I'm thinking.
I'm not married to it. I mean, there's also Brian and Rusty's World.
Or Brian and Rusty, not of this world.
Ooh.
Ooh.
What about Peanut Butter Jelly Time?
I don't. What?
Oh.
No, I don't like that one.
Tater Tots.
I don't like that one either.
Too legit.
Too legit to quit.
Hey.
Too legit.
Do it.
Too legit to quit.
Hey.
Too legit. Too legit to quit.
Hey.
Too legit.
But
I don't really remember that song very
it's
well.
TWO. Get it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two or 8-toe legit to quit. No, that doesn't make sense.
So okay, so then you don't like any of my ideas. That's fine. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah. Don't know.
And what were your ideas again?
Brian and Rusty, not of this world. That was my only suggestion. Don't know.
Well, maybe we'll come up with something. I mean, we're going to have to if we're going to upload these.
Oh, we'll just leave it blank. Can you leave it blank?
Well, I suggested just Brian and Rusty, and you said it was too plain.
Yeah, because we're not Rick and Morty.
I know. Oh, God, what a good show.
Amazing.
Oh, maybe they'll sponsor us.
Next week, I heard from rumor in the grapevine, Rick and Morty.
Okay. I love it.
I think we might even be having Rick on here as a guest speaker.
Well, you know who I would love? If we were going to get sponsored by that show, it would have to be Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yes.
He's my favorite character.
I thought Noob Noob was your favorite character.
Yes, Noob.
Mr. Poopy Butthole's in the new season. Have you watched any?
Sure am nervous about my first adventure.
Have you watched the first episode of season 7?
Yeah, we've pirated a few episodes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I love that he was a big part of that one.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, well then, so we got to figure out a name, and then Brian's got to figure out the password to the account, and then we're gonna be golden.
Which I can't. I may just have to start a new one.
And then we're gonna broadcast to the world.
That's right.
It's gonna be amazing, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, to wrap up the social media episode, what social media channel or platform are we going to have for the show? We got to have one. My vote is Instagram.
We both said something there at the same time. Well, why not multiple? It would be wiser to have all of the above, including
No, don't say TikTok.
TikTok. It's the biggest one out there. Like, why not? The whole point is to be able to drive people to, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what's really ironic is all these, like I was saying, all these companies trying to copy TikTok with the reels and the shorts. And now TikTok's trying to get into promoting videos over a minute long, like by offering monetization.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I just got the option to monetize stuff on TikTok, and yeah, but they'll only monetize videos. They want videos over a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, and now YouTube is pushing the same fucking thing, which is ironic because that's what they were before. So I don't understand.
Yeah, I would say the only social media that I've ever gotten addicted to is YouTube, and it's when I get into a learning frenzy, whether it's photography or video or whatever it is. I get into this like ADD, super overly focused thing, and yeah, scrolling through social media posts, makes my head explode. I hate it. But if I want to learn something,
Yeah,
I can spend hours watching YouTube videos.
yeah, that's what YouTube is great. And
Yeah.
why they're great. I mean, I hate that they're getting into this whole shorts thing, and
It's a pendulum.
yeah, and I guess it's like I get it because they're trying to compete. They realize like that's what people are addicted to. But I think they're also coming to realize that hey, we can't make money because think about it. You watch a YouTube video, right? Obviously, you get an ad beforehand, but a lot of times, you know, if it's a 10-minute video, there'll be ads throughout the video. You can't get that in a 15 fucking second video. So I think that's what they're
You're probably right.
coming around and realizing. That's probably even why TikTok wants to go that
No,
route.
that's a good point. So, all right, cool. Well then we'll figure out a name, easy peasy, you know, and then we'll just upload these bad boys, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, and fuck TikTok.
Oh, and honestly, please, if you are listening to this and you made it to this far, like do something to reach out to us. Put a comment. Oh, roast us in the comments.
There you go.
that's the
Roast
best
us in
part.
the comments.
'Cause it's
Do your
gonna-
best. See if you
Yes.
can offend. I don't think you can. Try hard. That's going to be our response to everything. Try harder.
Try harder.
Try harder.
I love that.
Or some crying emojis. If you really do offend us, we'll do crying emojis so you'll
Oh,
know.
and then I also thought of a good idea. Last idea for the day is I thought we might do a director's cut of our first episode where we like sit there and roast ourselves.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But no, I did have a serious thing to end on, maybe. Well, end on whatever. Regarding the topic. So, we were talking about TikTok. What do you hope happens with the whole bill they're trying to pass? And I'll tell you what I thought a lot about it.
I don't know enough about it, and so without researching it thoroughly, just from what I've heard, I would, unless there's more information that I don't have, I would err on the side of not giving the government the ability to make that call. But
Yeah.
but I don't.
See, I'm on the exact opposite. I hope I genuinely, at this point, like I said, I've given it thought, and I've thought about it both ways. I hope they fucking ban it, and I hope it goes away overnight, because I really think it's going to cold turkey wake a lot of people up.
It could.
I mean, yeah, some people are going to trickle to other platforms, but I mean, like they're not the same. They're not up to the addictiveness of TikTok, and I think a lot of people are going to wake up, and at least for a short period of time, hopefully it'll make them realize, like, fuck, this was a waste of time. Like, look how productive I am now that it's gone.
I can see that. Yeah,
I think for society as a whole, I think it would be better, because otherwise it's never going to end, and it's only going to get worse, more than likely.
Yeah, that is true.
And yeah, it does give the government power, and that's kind of scary where that goes, because obviously it might just continue to steamroll from there. But
yeah, because I don't know how the bill's written, but it would become basically, if it's a bill that says, hey, if it's very limited to just this one thing, I guess that might be better. But it's still, even if that's the case, it still becomes a legal precedent, and we know that everything is about precedents, and they can point back to that and say, well, it was fine for this one, and so now we're going to shut down this or that. It's going to be like the Congress is going to be like, we've got to shut down the Brian and Rusty show. We got to do it, and we shut down TikTok, and we're shutting these guys down.
That's right.
We can't have that. But what about the Brian and Rusty show?
Yeah, I like it.
Hey,
I actually like that.
Hey, it's about time you like one of my ideas.
I actually really like that. Now we're going to forget it. As
No,
simple as it is, we're going to forget it.
Well, no, it's we're recording. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey.
Yeah, but it's a terminology that I hate to say. Wouldn't it be a great Tourette's issue to have? Instead of cursing, like you
beatbox,
you just start beatboxing. You're like, yeah, and it's like, what was I saying? Oh yeah, anyways.
Only if it's good. Only if it's good.
Yeah, for real. That's like addictive. I'm gonna start doing it.
Have you seen the show Resident Alien?
No, but I've heard it's funny. Is it funny?
It is the best show. And the I don't want to give any spoilers, but I don't know the actor's name. There's a sheriff in there. He is so funny. He nails that character. And in season 1, there's a scene where he's in there with his deputy, and they're doing like a stakeout or something. And the deputy turns on some music, and he's real eccentric, his character. So he reaches over and turns the music off, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, and she goes, "Well, I want some music." He goes, "Music? I got some music," and he starts beatboxing, and it is he does Amazing Grace, and it is I guess it's real. It's so good.
Like he's doing all of it.
Like he's doing all of it, and I could watch that 100 times. That guy his character is so good. You got to watch it.
Okay, Resident Alien. That's the one where he's like an actual alien.
Exactly,
yeah,
and of course, the main characters. Everyone, the show is amazing. The main character is amazing. He's done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
great actor. And then, like I said, the sheriff is like his character just gets better every season. You've got to watch it.
Is it 1 season or 2 seasons?
I think there's season 3 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I think on Netflix there's 2 seasons, but it's a Peacock original.
Oh,
and
I
think they just dropped the 3rd season.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so, yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite shows. Really, really good show.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but back to the normal conversation. I would love to know more people's opinions on the matter of the TikTok thing. Like, I hate using this terminology. I really genuinely do. But which option is the lesser of 2 evils? That's what I would like to know what people think. Because I can completely see both sides of the coin, and I think both options are bad. But the question is, which one is the less?
Yeah, and that really is probably the only way to put it. What's the lesser of 2 evils? Because if you give the government that power, it's a done deal. They now have that power, and they're gonna
keep pushing
they're
forward.
Exactly. And so, but then it doesn't seem like there's much debate that that TikTok is owned by a company that, like in China, you do what the Chinese Communist Party says. There's no choice. It's not like, oh, they should make better decisions. They don't have a choice. You do what you're told. There's no way around it. And so it doesn't seem like that's up for debate. Everyone's comfortable with the idea that there's that connection and that they're probably taking our information. And I think most people say, well, but who cares? They're just seeing. If they're spying on me, they're just watching me watch funny videos. I disagree with that. I think that's terrible. I think any government, our government does it. That's wrong. Their government does it. It's wrong. I don't think our freedoms, when you let them go, you don't get them back.
Yeah.
And so, but
this is another thing I want to quickly mention was I was a big podcast. I don't remember who the guest was or even which podcast it was.
So let me guess. Was it Rogan?
No, actually, I don't think it was. But they were talking about the guest was talking about they had looked into it, and he was saying if you actually go into the terms and conditions and examine them closely, like it's not just like other social media companies, like you're being given the right to all kinds of weird stuff. And like one of the examples he said was something about like they'll have access to, I don't know if it's an actual app in your phone or whatever it is that's part of the program of your phone that runs like your keyboard. And so they can, like, you know how there's like programs that you can go into keystroke programs, like it gives them access to that. And when you think about that, like that gives them access to anything. Like you type a password into an account, that gives them access to it.
Exactly.
And if that's true, I mean, maybe it's not true, but it is true. Like that is actually pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Well, Pegasus. This would be another great one, but this would take more prep. The new software for basically capturing people's phones is called Pegasus, I think, and it's been sold all over the world to the highest bidder. And all you like used to, if you wanted to capture someone's phone, and of course this doesn't even matter because TikTok is an app that you download, and so you've done it. If they want your information, you've done it. But like used to, they would need to send you a link, and you would need to physically click that link to establish that connection. Yeah. These days, all they need is your phone number.
Yeah,
and that's all they need. And so, but again, that's really irrelevant because you've downloaded and you've agreed to whatever they want you to agree to.
But it also makes me wonder if you delete the app, does that purge them from your phone, or do they still have access?
I don't know, because I had it when we had when we were posting to it for our media company. I had it on my phone, and when we stopped doing that, I deleted it. But and I had the same thought. I was like, I'm deleting it, but does that really mean anything?
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. I mean, supposedly,
like, is it like once you've done it, the damage is done, or
probably
can you undo it?
Or maybe if anybody in your family did it, is it a network thing? I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, like you say, I mean, these are very, very smart people. They have the money. They can buy the best consultants in the world to do these things, and so who knows what they're capable of.
Yeah,
someone like me and you, we don't really know. We can just assume.
Exactly. I'm just gonna move out middle of Montana somewhere where there's no internet service, no cell service.
We can record podcast episodes.
Drive into the city.
No, just put them in the mail. Record them to the thumb drive. Put them in the mail, and then have pay somebody else to edit them and upload them.
Yes, perfect.
We wouldn't have any money to pay them necessarily.
No.
But we could say if you ever wanted to come like camping.
Yeah, or we'll trade them in goods. Like I don't know, what can you grow in Montana?
You can in Montana. You do well to not get eaten by bears.
Yeah, maybe
or wolves.
God, that's a good question. Can you farm in somewhere like that?
I mean, I'm sure, right? I don't know.
It's probably a smaller window because it's colder.
Yeah,
environment.
But I mean, I think livestock is the big thing out there, right?
Yeah, you're right. Cows. So we'll pay our editor in beef, and if you're interested, hit us up now.
Beef stroganoff,
beef tips,
beef hamburgers,
beef stew.
Yeah, okay. I think they get the idea.
Beef goulash.
All right. Well, sweet.
Yeah.
I'd say we wrap it up. Guys, you're amazing. We love you. Don't forget to get plenty of sunlight.
And read my shirt.
And read his shirt.
What does it say?
Hang on.
For those of you who can't see it, it says, "Well, beloved dub." That's my own thing I patented, so don't try and steal it from me.
All right, love you guys. Bye bye.
Peace.